Hey YouTube, James from the Wyvern Watch here, and here with another deck update this time, and of course it is Kozmo once again. I've done a couple of Kozmo updates over the couple of years that I've had the deck, all of which are on the channel if you want to go sort of back through them. Obviously this one has changed again because of the ban list and the fact because I had triple skill drain in the list beforehand. But what that has done is enabled me to add a couple of cards that I've been hoping to try out in this deck. Perhaps that were missing from the last profile that I did, to be fair. But they're in this one. This is the latest version. I've been playing Kozmo for a long time. I collected the cards as soon as they came out. Kozmo Found Girl, as you can see, attracted me the most. I think it's an ace looking card, especially with the sort of the wolf in the background. Absolutely loved the concept around, obviously it being Star Wars based, and of course Wizard of Oz, less so much Wizard of Oz of course, but yeah, there's a few different, this deck's gone down a few different routes over the years. This is the current one, not mixed with anything else, a couple of support cards in there but no other engines. And the list of Kozmo monsters hasn't really changed, so let's get straight into that. Because I like the list that we've got currently, and like I say, the monster count seems to work for me pretty well. We'll go through the pilots first. So Kozmo Found Girl is probably the more famous of the pilots. Essentially with Kozmo, all the pilots can banish themselves to special summon a higher level Kozmo monster from the hand than the one that you're banishing. So Kozmo Found Girl can go from anything from level 4 and above, which obviously is ideal. Kozmo Found Girl can also, though, at the price of 500 life points, can add a Kozmo card from deck to hand, which, you know, can start some of the combos, and certainly the FTK, not the FTK, the OTK, with utilising Dark Destroyer as well. So yeah, a really cool card. A lot of decks only run her at 1. I'd have her at 3 if I could, really, but there isn't the capacity to run it at 3, so 2 it is. So 2 Kozmo Found Girls, and like I say, that's been the same for a long time. Another thing that hasn't changed for a long time is Kozmo Tin Can. Another pilot, of course, this one being level 1, so can actually special summon any level 2 or higher from the hand, from the deck. Yeah, sorry, from the hand. That's right. But Tin Can, its other special ability is during either end phase, you can pay 500 life points and reveal 3 Kozmo cards of different names from your deck. Opponent adds randomly 1 to your hand and the others go to the graveyard. So it just means that, of course, if you can get to this card on the opening, you're always going to have at least 1 ship in your hand, because you know, you'll nominate 3 ships and just ensure that one of them makes it to your hand. So of course you can make use of its triggering effect to banish itself. So yes, 3 Kozmo Tin Can, nice and easy so far. Keep going through the pilots then. We've got 1 Strawman, which is still a cool card. Of course, it's the sort of C-3PO-esque card, and then, but again, can still you know, go from level 3 or higher from your hand, assuming you banish yourself. But this time you can pay 500 life points and target one of your banished Kozmo monsters and special summon it. But the effects are negated and also destroyed during the end phase. So, excuse me, I am a little bit snotty this evening. I don't know why. Maybe a little bit of hay fever. But yeah, just the 1 Strawman. I still think it's useful to have at least one of those in the deck. Other lists I've seen play more than 1 Strawman. I suppose it depends what you want to do. We'll keep it on. So we've got also Kozmo Wicked Witch. I'm not playing all the gold rares, by the way. This is the standard common version. So, you know, I really detest the gold rarity when it's got the gold border and on everything on it. Honestly, it's just a little bit too much for me. So I'd rather stick with the rares and the commons than go for gold, and that's go for gold. And that's sort of the ethos through the deck as well. So yeah, Wicked Witch again is a pilot, so it'll special summon level 5 or higher from your hand, but also you pay 1,000 life points with this one, and it cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. It is useful. You can just stall out the extra round or two. So yeah, still impactful at 1. Excuse me. And because we've got a Good Witch, Wicked Witch, we've also got the Good Witch. Just the one of again. So again, level 5 or higher from the hand if she banishes herself. And then once per turn, you can pay 500 life points and target one face-up monster your opponent controls and chase it to the face-down defense position, which again does come up because obviously cards that can't be destroyed can, you know, assuming it can be targeted, is a good option to get rid of a monster. So yeah, Good Witch at 1. Another one of, and she is also a pilot, so Kozmo Dark Lady. But she's the level, the 5 variant, so she can still banish herself to special summon a level 6 or higher Kozmo monster, but she's also a good go-to from one of the lesser level pilots to go into Dark Lady, potentially use your effects, and then use her effect to go into another one from your hand. So you can chain them off like that. But also, once per turn, during either player's turn, when another monster effect is activated, you can pay 1,000 life points to negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the monster. So really, really cool, once per turn monster game, basically. Okay, so that's the pilots done. So we're on to ships, and I still play, and believe it still should be, 3 Slip Rider. Like I say, this is sort of the OG, one of the OG Kozmo monsters. Slip Rider, so the ships work slightly differently to the pilots though, so excuse me, they have effects on summon, well most of them do, and so this one is normal or special summoned. You can target one spell or trap card on the field and destroy it, which obviously comes in handy. But if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect set to the graveyard, you can banish this card from the graveyard and special summon level 4 or lower Kozmo monster from the deck. So Slip Rider is obviously probably going to go, well, will go into one of the pilots, assuming it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Obviously it then goes into the banish pile, which means you can recur it using a number of different cards, actually, to be fair. But yeah, nice easy one. They're obviously light and level 5, so it gives you access to Cyber Dragon Nova, and obviously into Infinity after that. We do play one of each in the deck, but we're also playing Extravagance, so it actually very rarely comes up, but it's an option for you. So that's the first ship, that's Slip Rider, always one of my favourites. That we're also running the 2 Forerunners. Now this is the first a ship that cannot be targeted by opponent's card effects. So there's a few that do this. So cannot be targeted by opponent's card effects, and during your standby phase you gain 1,000 life points, which is ace. And then of course, if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can then banish this card from the graveyard to special summon level 6 or lower. You can see where we're going with this, guys, but obviously that can then go into Slip Rider, the Slip Rider into one of the pilots. So nice little bit of stalling going on there. And then into the sort of the best monster in the game, in the deck I should say, of course, it's Kozmo Dark Destroyer. These are the OG secret rares, and these are the ones that used to cost £100 a piece. That's about $120 a piece when they first came out. I don't think they fetch anything like that anymore, but I've still got the 3 OG ones, which obviously will stay in my collection for a long time. However, can't be targeted by your opponent, so that's nice and easy. Obviously on summon, you can target one monster on the field and destroy it. You might think that a lot of the time you go for opponent's monsters, and you do, but of course you can also destroy itself, triggering its own effect to then special summon another ship or indeed a pilot, depending on what you need in the situation. And obviously Dark Destroyer being level 8 pretty much means you can get to anything else in the deck that you may require. So you know, really useful card, very much an OTK enabler. Not that I go for the OTK a lot, because I like playing this game as it should be, but it is quite tempting in some circumstances where you can just go from one for the other, cause a lot of damage and potentially get the win. But I just like playing the deck, I like playing the game, so you know, we don't always go for OTKs because nobody likes an OTK. And the last ship is of course just the one Dark Eclipser, which still has the targeting immunity for card effects, but the only downside with this one is if it is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you still banish it, but then you add a level 8 or lower Kozmo monster to your hand as opposed to special summoning it. It also can negate a trap. I forget how that works now. Banish a Kozmo monster from the graveyard to negate the activation. So yeah, you can negate a trap every turn, which obviously doesn't come up, but it's another name in the deck, and it's non-targetable, and it's a 3,000 power attack body, so always good. The last monster in the deck is actually the new one. So this is the Psychic Processor. So this wasn't in my last list, although it was suggested to me to put it in my list by one of our viewers. So thank you very much. I forget your name now. I'll probably have to go back to my old video. But let me read this one out. So this is level 3 Psychic Monster. Of course, it's a target for E-Telly. And you can banish this card you control, special summon up to 2 machine, psychic and or cyber monsters from your hand, and they can attack directly this turn. And then during the standby phase of the next turn after this card was banished, you can add this banished card to your hand. I mean, this should have been a Kozmo card in my opinion, you know, apart from the fact it's adding Cyburst as well. But 2 machine, psychic or cyber monsters from your hand, and then they can attack directly. Well, you know, that's that can put some proper damage on the board right there and then. So yeah, 2 Psychic Processor, very much a good part of the deck, and I'm glad I've had the opportunity to add it to the list. On to the spells, guys. I'm absolutely pouring this snot. I'm so sorry. So on to spells. So we've got Kozmo Town, always a 3 of in my opinion. It's just too good not to have it included in the deck. There's 3 effects on Kozmo Town. So you can once per turn target one card, one of your banished Kozmo monsters, return it to the hand, and if you do, lose life points equal to its original level times 100. So if you're going for a Dark Destroyer, it's going to cost you 800 life points. In this game, that means nothing. And then once per turn, you can reveal any number of Kozmo monsters in your hand and shuffle them into the deck. So you get a mulligan effect as well, and then draw cards equal to the number of cards you shuffle back. And then last, if this card is on the field zone, is destroyed by card effect, you can add 1 Kozmo card from deck to hand. Guys, that's obviously as an effect that we can trigger ourselves by using the effects from Slip Rider in order to destroy a spell or trap. So sometimes if you need the card that you haven't got, that's an easy way of actually searching for that card. Next card was actually on the last list, but they've been upgraded to Prismatic Secret Rares straight out of the tin. So this is Time Tearing Morganite. Some of you will be familiar with it. Works really, really well in this deck though. So for the rest of the turn, rest of the duel, sorry, apply the following effects. You cannot activate monster effects in the hand. Well, that's all right, because we don't activate monster effects in the hand. Draw 2 cards instead of 1 for your normal draw during the draw phase. And you can conduct 2 normal summons or sets per turn, not just 1. And you can banish this card from your graveyard, then discard 1 Time Tearing Morganite, and then your opponent cannot activate monster effects when you normal summon this turn. So even if you know, obviously because you've got 3, if you use 1, that then goes to the grave. If you then were unlucky enough to draw another one, at least you can still use that card in order to obviously stop your opponent using effects on your normal summon. Doesn't come up the second effect an awful lot, but the first effect, obviously, you know, the drawing 2 is absolutely ideal. The 2 normal summons is nice, but we don't do an awful lot of it. But it is nice to have, and of course that can really, you know, 2 pilots on the field, if we can get to the ships as well, that's really going to start costing your opponent some life points. E-Telly still at 3, so obviously I'm running lots of low level psychic type monsters, and you know, obviously this is a standard, basically nothing else to say about E-Telly on that, apart from the fact that rarity probably needs upgrading. And of course we're not using our extra deck hardly at all, so like I said to you, we're running 1 of each of Nova and Infinity, but it doesn't come up very much. Pot Extravagance, of course, for this build is absolutely ideal and works really well. Now this is the next new card, so we're also running 2 copies of Psychic Arsenal. Let me read through this one. So target 1 psychic monster your opponent controls. Target 1 psychic monster you control, and pay life points equal to its level times 200. Add 1 machine monster with the same attribute but a higher level from your deck to your hand. And then, so that gets you the ship, of course. And then during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish the card from your graveyard. Then target 1 of each of your banished psychic and machine monsters and place 1 of them at the bottom of the deck. And if you do, add the other to your hand. Oh, guys, it's just absolutely amazing for the archetype that, and it should have just been a Kozmo card in my opinion. But I mean, what other decks use psychic and machine types at the same time? I can't, and I'm sure there probably are, but I mean, honestly, it's made for Kozmos, that, honestly. But 2 of each, I think, of the new cards is absolutely fine. Just a couple of one-offs, guys. I'm still playing Call by the Grave, because obviously a hand trap can do a lot of damage in this deck, and limiter removal just because it's a bit of fun. And of course, if you've got a couple of ships on board, especially if they're attacking directly, and you've got limiter removal, you might just end the game there and then. Like I said to you before, I'm not a massive fan of OTK, so I tend not to take the piss with that too much. But you know, you get the point. On to traps, guys. So we're still running 3 Cosmojo, and I still love this card. I still think it's absolutely great. Target 1 Cosmo monster you control and destroy it, and if you do, banish your 1 card your opponent controls or in their graveyard. It says banish, so that it's actually a non-targeting removal list. So obviously it gets rid of some really awkward situations. But of course, if the monster you're targeting on your side, the Cosmo monster, is a ship, then obviously you're going to get recursion from that anyway, because it's going to special summon a lower level Cosmo monster from your deck. So no real hardship with that, to be fair. 3 Cosmojos. I'm still playing the 1 skill drain as well. It still works really well in this deck because obviously we're not running any we're not really activating any effects, because the pilots dodge the effect, and of course the ships. Sorry, let me start again. The pilots banish themselves, which means their effects will go off either way, and then the ships obviously activate in the grave, so it dodges skill drain. So of course it hurts most other decks as well. Sorry guys, my cold is getting to me now. Last trap is of course Waking the Dragon, which I still have from the last list. The extra deck is, I've just got full of targets for this card. I mean, obviously you can change the extra deck as much or as little as you want. I'm going to rattle through the extra deck anyway. We just don't use it, so you know, you can put anything in here. So the Last Warrior from Another Planet is a good option, depending on the situation. So this card is special summon, destroy all of the monsters you control, and then neither player can special summon monsters, full stop. So you know, that for a lot of decks will just shut everything down. I'm running a couple of hard hitters, so I've got Galaxy Eyes Full Armor, Photon Dragon there's 3 of those, obviously because of the extra. I've got 3 Raid Rats Ultimate Falcons as well, very difficult to get rid of. And then just a couple of one-offs. So I've got the Nova and the Infinity I mentioned a couple of times. I've got a Galaxy 101, a number 62 Galaxy Prime Photon Dragon, and indeed a number 61 Volcasaurus, because obviously there's a few level 5s available. But literally, these could be anything. You know, if you know of better Waking the Dragon targets for the current meta, you know, put them in. I'm not taking this to locals at the moment anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me. But you know, whatever you think Waking the Dragon targets might be effective in your situation. Oh, I'm sorry, I've missed a card. There's one number 90 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord as well. But yeah, again, it's largely irrelevant. Whatever you think fits the bill at the time, I'm sure will do more than adequately well. So guys, that is my Kozmo list. It's been updated. I hope you like. Feel free to put the comments in or down below. throw some likes out there. We're looking for 500 subscribers still, so we're not too far away now. Hoping to get that in the next few weeks, stroke months. Today, I have nearly finished my Light Swarm build. I'm just waiting for a couple of cards in the post, and then I'll have that profile out to you as soon as possible. Guys, once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you for the next profile.